Just so we all over it. Yeah, give us some
All right, it's 6 o'clock. Let's get this village council meeting called to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Wales?
Here.
Bishop?
Here.
Dunham? Here. Larson?
Here.
Miller?
Here.
Needham is absent. White?
Here. All right, great. Let's all stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. Seeking the approval of the regular agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to the consent agenda. Board members can request certain items be removed from the consent agenda for discussion. The motion is in order to adopt all items not removed. After that motion is passed, discussion will occur on those items previously selected for removal. Seeking a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion and support by Larson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And, now we have time for brief public comment. Please state your name, place of residence, disclose any financial relationship you have with the village, and direct all comments towards myself, and limit to 3 minutes or less. You got any public comment this evening? We have lots. Mrs. Gallagher?
I just thought I'd introduce myself. I'm Linda Gallagher from the Antrim Kalkaska Review, and I will be covering the Kalkaska Village Council meetings in future. And thank you for, first of all, I would like to thank both Scott and Angie. Scott has been very prompt about getting right back to me and being very helpful. So has Angie today. And Mr. Wales, I know you've been in contact with me now. We're now friends on Facebook. And I'm sure you found out what a crazy life I lead. And thank you all very much. It's nice to be here.
Nice to have you.
Thank you.
We'll see.
Dan North, 110 South Walnut Street. I'm just gonna go ahead and read this. Thursday, July 8th, I drove into Kalkaska from the south, passed by the Welcome to Kalkaska sign, at which time my daughter, who just turned 10, read it out loud. Welcome to Kalkaska, space to grow. Yeah, space to grow weed. This only sort of shocked me. I live in a drug-free home, and she participates in a drug-free lifestyle with the Marines of Garden City. It is affecting more than the monetary gain of the village. It is affecting our youth, and it is affecting the way that people view us. I served on this council, and I understand that we can't control which businesses come to the village, but we can control what our village looks like and how it appears to others. This past week, an old friend of mine also came to visit. He grew up here and moved away in 2007. I asked him if he had saw the new clock tower we had placed in downtown. His response was no, but I noticed all the marijuana shops south of town. I strongly urge the council to review the ordinances to lessen the impact that they're having on how people view our village.
Okay. What you got for us, Spencer?
That's bad. Anyway,
You can use the podium if you want.
okay. Make sure I address your. My name's Arthur Keaton. I live 309 North Walnut Street for 20 years. And I own the property, 3 village lots, plus a house, residence. In the past, I've complained to members of the board. I'm not sure if it was Cash or if it was another gentleman associated with the law division. But I was concerned about that junky house trailer that's located in the 200 block of George Street. And I was going to take pictures of it and bring it to the board tonight, but hold on. I walked up and there's a yellow card in the window. It's a notice of forfeiture, whatever that means. I'm not sure what it means, but it's something about a hearing in January regarding that property. Now, I don't know whether that's at the county courthouse or if it's going to be here. But I guess that's a question I had as to, is that going to be an auction for that property or just what it is? Okay, next. The other property in question, took pictures of it, and lo and behold, it's yellow carded also, finally. And that's on North Walnut Street. You're familiar with it, Mr. Wales. Second house from the corner next to the Victorian. Not occupied, that I believe. A lot of trash and junk, and the place is very dilapidated, eyesore. And these two properties are a detriment to our neighborhood on North Walnut Street. We all try to keep our properties up in good condition, necessary repairs made. And there's at least one other board member that also lives on North Walnut, Mr. Larson. And we're proud of our neighborhood. The other property is in the 100 block of George Street next to Chris's natural farm store, whatever you call it. I stopped by there today. I was going to take a picture of that, but lo and behold, a couple came out and said, we bought this place and we're gutting it and we're going to rebuild it. And I says, great. That's wonderful, because that place was a real bad. Not only did it look bad, it's probably a health hazard too. And I just wanted to praise whomever on the board. I'm not sure whom to praise, but we got the first step in condemning these properties, and I'm happy for that. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? We have no presentations. Moving on to bills. I will turn it over.
We met today at 5 o'clock, and we went over our current invoices, payroll reconciliations, monthly payroll, journal entries, and bank reconciliations. And as you see, I think all of you got it revised, because there was one bill in there that was not showing up on here. So Angie, as we look it up and revise it. And we are making a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $202,202.78. And the invoiced amount is $399,662.05.
I'll support it. Can we have a roll call, please?
Bishop?
Yes.
Dunham? Yeah. Larson?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Lederman absent? White?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Carries.
Anything else?
Nothing else. That was it.
Moving on to other committee reports. Personnel committee.
Bobby, can you on the fly just say we had a personnel committee meeting and you were there?
Yes, I was there. And it was pretty good. What we've gone through, I'm very happy with our meeting again.
And it looks like there's no recommendations at this time, still continuing to meet. And my next one is
The 28th
the 4
at 4
o'clock.
o'clock.
Public Works.
Good evening, everyone. Public Works met on the 8th, 4 p.m. All members were in attendance with Cash Cook, John Stark, and Gino. In attendance, Four items on the agenda. The first one was consider the appeal of the RU calculation for the Kalkaska EDA for the Railroad Square Pavilion and food trucks. After listening to the facts and deliberating, the committee recommends to the council that we move to concur with the DDA rate for the pavilion REU should be modified to a reduction of 15% of the previous calculated 9.88 REUs and overpayments credited back to the account, as well as a modification of food truck slips from 1 RU to 0.25 RU monthly, with overpayments also being credited back to that account. We recommend that we move to adopt this new RU structure for that property.
Recommendations motion.
Yes.
Support. Larson supports the motion. Any more discussion?
Dunham,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Eden is absent, White,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes.
Wales,
Yes.
carries.
Item number 2 on the agenda for that day was to consider an appeal for REU calculation from the Coliseum. Mr. Starr came in and we instructed him to return with a third-party usage study and a proposal for us to continue forward on that project. No recommendation at this time until we get more facts. Item number 3, discuss addition of REU calculation for Campus Transport Company. This would go into our fee ordinance, which I don't believe will be presented until next month, but the recommendations of the committee was that the council adopt 1.25 RUs for transport companies, as is basically an office with an indoor parking garage. And that's all we have at this moment for that. So until the ordinance is brought forth, I don't think we can do anything on it.
No motion to discuss that.
Item number 4 was the street drainage discussion. We took a little field trip and visited 4 intersections along Walnut Street at Norway, George, Lincoln, and 3rd Streets to discuss the drainage issues and the pathways to rectification. Village management is still gathering information and clarifying the way forward on that. And there are no further recommendations at this time for them. Unless there's any questions, that is all I have.
No questions? All right, great. Moving forward, village officers. Anything to highlight on your police report?
Other than more drugs.
Yeah, we saw a couple of good busts, didn't we?
Yeah, we, just in those 2 alone, I think it was like 60 grams, which is a rather large amount, so. Unfortunately, it's here, but fortunately, we're finding it, so.
Yeah, it wasn't here very long.
No.
That's the kind of impact. Does anybody have any questions for Lieutenant?
Referring to the public.
One more thing I will say is, we are doing upgrades out at the range. And one of those forfeitures is paying for all the materials to do those upgrades. So it is being used to benefit the department directly.
Well, again, you're talking about the range. I was speaking to a lady that works at the hospital. She lives right across from that range. What is it, Island Lake Road? And she says that sometimes that racket is just too much to take for residential area. And I told her, I said I would try to mention it at one of the meetings, because DNR has a doggone nice shooting range on Supply Road. State paid for it for public use. Why do we have to have a shooting range right in a residential area?
Actually, that'd be an industrial area. Our shooting range is on industrial property.
In the residential area? I don't want to argue with you about it.
I'm just clarifying for you. I'm not arguing.
There actually probably is a change in the scope out there as well, as far as how loud it's going to be, because they are currently in the process of firming it up several more feet around the edges, and then redoing that, because the building hasn't been touched in years and years and years. So we are, and they actually went out to that range that you're talking about to get ideas on how to improve this stuff. So hopefully we'll find out.
I'm just passing it along for the employee at the hospital. Thank you.
May I get your name, please?
Lieutenant Popa, P-O-P-A. Aaron.
Aaron Popa? I've
Yes.
seen it written. And may I, if at all possible, get a copy of your report?
That, do one of you have an extra copy we could?
Or
Yes.
you can email it to me?
That actually should be in the packet, that big, that large packet, but I emailed to you.
That you sent me? Okay,
It should be
great.
included right
Haven't had time to look at it yet, Angie. Okay,
And anytime you see stuff and you want more information, let me know and I'll
thank you.
help you where I can.
I appreciate that.
Any other questions for Lieutenant? If not, we'll move on to your reports.
Very good. Good evening, President, Council, and audience. A recent review article about the hiring woes for police departments in the area contained a brief but excellent synopsis of your own police department from the eyes and viewpoint of a police chief in a neighboring community. And a copy of this is in your packets. I know Chief Robbins well. He's the gentleman who was quoted. He's a man of very few words, and what he is saying is our police department is not experiencing the staffing woes of others. So the question is why? And that comes down to a couple of things. Strong leadership in the department, starting with Sergeant Nagy, and even with the line officers themselves, and your support as council members. So council, you should feel proud of what has been accomplished, and on behalf of this community, thank you. Next item. We've had so many new businesses come to Kalkaska over the last 2 years that I think the impact of that is almost being lost. You've come to expect me to tell you about another new business at every council meeting. Well, not to disappoint, at the July 1st Planning Commission meeting, the Holiday Inn Express site plan was approved. And this is a proposed facility with 65 rooms, a 3-story hotel with a pool. And it will go on the same site and replace the Granada Inn, which will be demolished. Building on the new businesses that have come to Kalkaska, I've told you that from my perspective as manager, I see that robust new business development is already well underway here in Kalkaska. And I've stated I believe our focus should move to housing. We need housing for the people who work in the many jobs here and who want to live here. And there are several components to that effort. Demolishing blighted properties, bringing up buildable lots is one. And working with developers and builders is another. And time is short, we need to work efficiently. So you, council, wisely agreed to a partnership with Euro Brown of Housing North at our last meeting. And I can report she is already taking the next step by exploring partnerships with and between local businesses to build housing units. And Cash Cook is also deeply involved in that process. Thank you, Cash. Next item. Well 6 is on my list prior to retirement. I've mentioned that a couple of times. Well 6 is what I call the addition of a new high-capacity water well to our water system. So adding a high-capacity water well provides needed backup to wells drilled in the previous century. It provides higher flows during emergencies, and it future-proofs our system as well. And you heard our DEQ representative's reaction to my concept of well 6 at our all boards meeting on the 21st. They commended us for this proactive stance. The process is moving ahead, and I'll be sharing more with you as time passes. And again, as you know, we're leading the formation of a fire authority with the township. And whether we become a city or remain a village, in my view, we need a contract between the village and township for fire services. In my view, also, every well-formed business relationship benefits from a written record of its terms. Keep you posted on that as we move ahead. We all know I am a manager who likes to keep the great accomplishments of our Village of Kalkaska employees a secret, Angie Kuhn. So in keeping with keeping things a secret, I want to tell you again about our very own Angie Kuhn, who was named Clerk of the Year by her peers at MML. And we were robbed last year of a chance to applaud Angie by a pandemic, but I was handed an opportunity, another reason to bring this up just last week. And actually, the president and I are going to turn to Angie Kuhn and have the clerk herself explain what's going on in her own word. What did I say? What did you say? Here you go.
The Michigan Municipal League, so Michigan organization, they have a monthly or bi-monthly magazine. And in their next magazine, they're actually going to be writing a feature story, a day in the life of a Michigan's clerk. So last year's village, city, and township clerks of the year are being highlighted in this one.
Your section is 7 inches thick, Angie?
Thank you.
We're proud of you, man. Very much. June 18th and 19th, the drag races were in a car show, were held at the airport. Huge success. Your next drag race event will be in August. And next item, we developed and tested an emergency bypass pump procedure at the Coral Street Sewage Lift Station last week. Because it's my philosophy to test and debug emergency procedures in the daylight, as actual bad events always seem to occur at 3 in the morning, and that is not the time to try to figure these things out. Actually, it's pretty continuous now. Yeah. So what testing a bypass pump means is we had a contractor bring in a trailer mounted high volume pump that can move both liquids and suspended solids. We placed that pump suction line in the Coral Street wet well, which is a concrete structure where sewage collects. It's about 28 feet deep and 8 feet in diameter. And we connected the discharge line of the emergency bypass pump to a special fitting on this pump station building that's meant for that purpose. And we turned the electrically driven main pumps in the building off and fired up the external pump, though not in that order. And it was quite successful. We did learn a few things. It gave us a chance to prove how the procedure works and make changes during daylight hours, which is always beneficial. And the assistant manager was present, Mr. Popa, hand-on throughout the entire procedure, which is good because training and tests like this help build his knowledge base and also competence. Mr. President, that's all I have this evening.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Question for the floor.
Sure.
Regarding the three-level Holiday Inn proposal, has there been a water requirements evaluation study done by any engineering firm regarding the extra water supply needed plus fire protection for that building?
We'll have to go back to the, how about if I send you the entire site plan review that we did?
Can I get it on my laptop?
It will fill your laptop up, but you can click certainly.
That should keep it quiet for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely-
I'd be glad to receive it. Thank you.
So we'll just spare everybody else and you can read that and call me if you have any questions on it or any thoughts.
My email is on the signage. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll send that to you. Good reading.
I have nothing particular this evening. We're going to move on to unfinished business. We have none. Is anybody going to the MML conference, moving on to new business on 10? Does anybody sign up to that? And to do email?
Yes, September 22nd through 24th in Grand Rapids.
Do you want to be the official voting designee then?
I'm sorry.
Are you going as well?
I'll go.
Are you thinking of going? Okay. Then you guys can have myself over.
Well, we'll go.
And we have
Who
one.
wants to be the designee?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's-
We can have
it don't matter,
voting and-
wherever you choose.
they just don't go one time, there's two.
I think,
The annual meeting is when. So yes, you could go, you could go.
Because I know they only have one slot for one person. Y'all can decide which one's gonna do it. When you're there, you can decide who's gonna do it.
yeah.
If you break out into different sessions and somebody else is somewhere else. then
It'll work.
Just as long as somebody gets it.
I may need something here. We're requested to designate by action of a governing body, one or more of your officials, who will be your official voting
So,
designee. When I make a motion to designate. I will make that motion. I can.
Well, it's just a voting delegate.
can we
I
get
know.
a second
Anybody
for
can
that
go.
motion? Second that motion? Bobby, thank you. Any discussion?
Thank you, guys.
All those in favor? Any opposed? All right. spot here again for being public comment. Anybody have any public comment? Figure it out? No? Highlight?
I have something.
Okay, yes. No pressure word.
Me and the small town girls did the customer appreciation event, and I just wanted to thank you. There's at least 3 or 4 village council members that came to support our businesses, and that just means a lot to us. So thank you.
Thank you for putting on the event. It was a good time.
Yeah. All right, if that's it, then we are adjourned, folks. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
I'm sorry. That was gonna be awkward.
Sure. I don't have business cards.